Who am I? The girls them sugar.
Wagwan Mayut.
What's up? What's up? Welcome.
Oh, no drop today? All right, okay. No Pondé drops?
Oh, my bad. Let me get you.
That's what they come here for, Kevo.
There we go. They come for the drops. I thought they
just
gave
for the
them language lessons. I thought they came for the language lessons. We give them language lessons here.
We can't give them definitions and that like that. So
What's up, man? How y'all feeling, man?
Good.
Shit, I'm good, man. Happy to be here.
So y'all may notice that we do have a guest this episode. Each and every week we do invite everybody that agrees, disagrees, wants to share our platform, wants to use their platform. Anything that you want to do to become involved with the podcast, we encourage that. And we have one of the many people that I am inspired by. I can speak for myself. Somebody who leads by example, somebody who I follow his mode when it comes to podcasting, when it comes to articulating myself, when it comes to being a self-started entrepreneur. This is one of the people I definitely look to follow his footsteps so I can see what I want to do and kind of navigate these grounds. So without further ado, I want to introduce a published author, a leader, a husband, a podcaster, CEO, Claude Oliver. Sir, please introduce yourself to the Who Am I podcast audience.
So,
wow, man, I appreciate that. That's a mouthful, man. Real shit. I'm just a humble guy, man. Thank y'all for having me on. Like for me, podcasting was something that I was afraid of for the longest. I think in your intro, you talked about that's something you had talked about, but didn't really know how to do it. I think I was just afraid to. We kept doing research and really didn't know where to start, man. But then one day, like my mentor, the one I shoot it with, the doc, he bought me a mic. He bought him one, he bought me one. He's like, boom, all right, shit, we got to make this happen. And so it was kind of just thrust upon me. But real shit, we could talk about it later. Like, honestly, man, my pod like kind of like put me back on course, bro. I was in a dark spot, man. So, my book, Memoirs from Within, that's like the first half of my life. I'm working on the second half now. And in that, I'm just talking about my relationships with females and things I never really dealt with. Like as men, we oppress shit. You know what I mean? We just keep it in, suppress it, not bad. We suppress it and we keep it in. We try to pretend like it doesn't bother us. But what you find out is later in life, that shit was ruining marriages. Almost definitely was divorced once, was almost divorced twice, had all kind of other shit going on. And it was because I had never addressed my issues and I had let that shit take over my whole life. So, a lot of things led into that and we don't have to, get all into that. I'm not here to just talk about me, but that's kind of how that book came about. That's how the pod came about. So the combination of two gave me the courage to do anything. So as I look with 2 years left on the clock before I retire, like I have so much excitement and energy now because I'm like, shit, I got a direction, I'm not afraid to retire. Like, I'm about to, invest in me, so to speak. So pretty hype about that.
real. I got a question for you. We always get this question and it seems like every time I get the question, I answer it a little bit differently, but what do you talk about on your pod? What is your pod about?
So generally, man, our pod was going to be based on like relationships, right? Like I kind of just gave that background, but then I think you guys kind of discovered this too. Like it's hard to like stay with just one general topic. And so, I had to like really tread lightly on like the politics thing. Cause we got military affiliation, but we definitely bring that on there. But more so than anything, it's like the growth of a black man, growth of a person. And so, me and my co-host were 15 years apart, 15 years my senior. And he was like one of my first mentors and everything. And it just flows naturally. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's got his doctorate degree. He's doing so much crazy shit. And when he was my age, he was telling me he was in the same spots and shit. And so that's what really grows our podcast. Cause I bring my young 38, 39 point of view. He brings his 50 plus point of view. And it makes for an amazing conversation. You know what I mean? So when you ask that, we're going to talk relationships. We're going to talk finances. We're going to talk, how to grow yourself, how to prepare for the military once you get out, or how you preparing yourself for getting out the military. Shit, you name it, bro. Sports here and there, whatever. So it's just a generalized, open flow type podcast.
Well, I know a lot that y'all talk about on the podcast is a great segment that I love that y'all have is conversations that we should be having.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about like stocks, y'all talk about ownership, y'all talk about just conversations that we should be having in our community, but kind of fly by night because we're so caught up in something else.
Yeah.
And a big thing that you talk about is like ownership and finances and stocks. How much do you think you've kind of grown talking about these things that you may not have noticed had you not been doing a podcast?
Tremendously, bro. I didn't even have stocks until like a year ago, honestly. So let's just do it like that. So as he was, bringing it on there, the first 2 seasons of the pod, he knows that I'm a real estate guy. All of my investments have always been tied up in buying houses, selling houses, that type of thing, rental properties. And I just feared the market, like when it came to individual stocks. And just listening, he throwing stuff at me, doing my own research, reading shit. I just like, fuck it, man, let's take a chance, And so, like right now we're kind of hitting, I don't want to say a rough spot, but, the last couple of days, last week in the stock, if you following stocks, you're kind of in the red. But because this is my first real season in it, I'm like, hey, like, don't panic. Let's just, ride the wave and whatever. But man, honestly, like the pod has brought me so much knowledge on a lot of shit. Like, I feel like when I started one, I just had something to say. But what that something was, I really didn't know. I just felt like I wanted to say some shit. But in our conversations, I'm actually learning while I'm hosting the show, which is super cool, man. Like, and I can kind of see y'all two playing off each other too. Like when I'm listening to y'all show, like you'll come with something and Kevin will come back with something. I can see how y'all are having that conversation. I was like, that's what I was limited to. When I was like 30, 29, that age, like, cause I'm a Taurus, man, I'm stubborn. So it's like, when I believe something, that was it, bro. Like, and like I said, on my last show, I was more so like shit, if I didn't really know you, I didn't really kick it with you like that. Like, well, I just write your ass off. Like,
King was the same way. The same way.
So, but I've grown a lot, man. Maturity is everything, bro. So I got my pod to thank for that.
How do you deal with, I think it's a different dynamic here on this pod. We and King, we have like very different views politically in some ways. In some ways, we're very similar.
Okay.
So when you had to have these conversations with your co-hosts, like how are you trying to make sure you take care of your bias? You're making sure you call out his and have these debates in a progressive way.
So the one thing we learned, like we call it our pre-chat. So we do a couple. And in that, we try not to have a script, right? So we'd be like, the topic is this. And we just have a free flow conversation, just like it came up in the group chat. And what I'm trying not to do is cut him off. He's trying not to cut me off, because the biggest thing is to get your opinion out. Right. Because what we want to get to at the end of our segment is we want to both be able to voice ourselves without making it seem like we have this disagreement where the whole conversation was worthless, like a straw man argument, right? Like, because that's what a lot of shit, you could take something as light as who's the best basketball player, or something as deep as what y'all just talked about. But at the end of the day, when two people are not hearing each other, it just becomes straw man. Like, okay, well, what do we even spend 15 minutes talking about that for? And so what we really try to do, honestly, I'd be like, man, speak your piece. And sometimes you hear me on my pod, I'd be like, hold on, let me get this. Let me get this before I lose it. And I'll give him the same respect. Is because, generally I just want the audience, whoever's listening, and him to know that it's okay to be different. It's okay to have that whole different point of view, but can I respect you enough to hear you? Because I feel like if you don't have no kind of friendship, no kind of partnership, like we just said, it's just like, all right, well, fuck you, bro. Like I feel the way I feel, you feel the way you feel, and let's just move on. So our biggest thing is let's just talk it out, like no script, no shit. And then when we bring it to the show, we don't try to repeat what we said. We just know how it sounded the first time. So basically, go in there and flow with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like when we don't do. We've only had maybe 2 or 3 podcasts where we just kind of talked about what was on our mind surrounding whatever event was going on. And I like those podcasts the most because I completely scrap my notes. I just go in there. I tell King a little bit about my argument. He tell me a little about his, and then we go ahead and just talk about it. And sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. But either way, we both learn something at the end of that podcast. I'm hoping whoever listens feels that same way.
That's true, man. And I think you have to feed off each other's strengths. Like I said, he's a doctor, man. So he can always articulate certain shit that I can't, or he can find the vernacular, the vocabulary that I need. I'm like, fuck, like, and he just does that naturally, man. So, like once you guys kind of find how you kind of feed off each other, that energy, like it just makes the whole conversation flow. You know what I mean? But like I was telling King, like it's funny because you said y'all was gonna have me on. Like I had a whole conversation with both of y'all in my car. like that's how I really prep for my pod. I'll just have a whole conversation in my whip, and I'm pretending what y'all saying. I'm kind of playing it in my head, and so that's what I do basically get me ready for my show. That's kind of how I do it the day of.
So I guess we'll kind of get this out the way, because on this podcast, and me and Kevo got this understanding. I sometimes purposely, but it's always genuine, but I like to take the contrarian point of view, because I think that it's in such a politically volatile environment, in such a politically charged and emotional environment, especially during these times. It's so easy to get wrapped up in a moment, and it's so easy to not see the whole picture. So I kind of go out of my way to look at the other side and kind of give it some validity, kind of like what you were saying, to avoid those straw man arguments. And last week we had a very, very controversial topic when we talked about the whole Jacob Blake situation and the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. And in that, I still wanted to voice, I didn't like how these things were going. I didn't like the end result, but it's important for us to see, by the law, this is their argument, or by the law, this may be another way to look at it, kind of just to show you a different perspective. But you had a great take on it, and you actually said it on the comments. That's why we really wanted to have you on, so you can kind of articulate this to our audience. But you had, again, some more differing points of view concerning that. So did you want to clear that up, or did you want to speak on that?
Nah, yeah, for sure, man. So, like, you broke down a whole bunch of statutes and everything, and I definitely heard Kevo, his point of view, when he was like, these guys need to be trained better. And for me, all that is the key. But one thing that I have to think about, like right now I don't own a gun, and I know if I own a weapon, it's only for recreation. That's just my point of view. But the one thing that's key is, like you said, you got to be objective to each situation. So in this situation, right, shoot this man 7 times in his back in front of his children. And so right there where my mind went, is like, who's taking care of them? You know what I mean? Like, let's forget that he did resist, but he didn't, from what the video showed, he didn't resist in a violent way. Like, there wasn't an altercation of him throwing punches, kicking, threatening with weapon. He just turned his back and walked off. And so what I'm saying is, let's say he does pass away, right? Right now he's fighting for his life. He's paralyzed. We get that. But let's say he passed away. Is his life, worth, or basically not worth, the fact that he did not resist? So basically you killed him, okay? And it was because he walked away from you. Now, like you said, he was a criminal. He's not clean by no means. They were coming there to arrest him. All these are facts. But I'm almost to the point where I'm like, if you're in a shootout or something like that, and you have to return fire, that's one thing. But just because you I guess denied my commands, or you walked away from me, like, I'm just going on a load like that, that's half the clip. Usually it's 12 to 15 rounds in a standard carry. So that's half the clip. And the kid's seen that. Who's going to take care of them? You know what I mean? Like, and let's just go a step further. Dog, we conditioned a certain way growing up in bad neighborhoods. So I don't know how old his oldest kid is, but let's say he's old enough to really understand what happened. Dog, he already hates you. He already hates all cops. One great quote, and I can't remember it, so I'm not gonna go verbatim, but also American Gangster, when Denzel is describing, like, watching his little cousin get his teeth bust out, then put the shotgun in his mouth, blew his cousin's head off. He's saying he never gave a fuck about the police. And that's when he was telling the story of him being like 8-10 years old, Frank Lucas. So my point in that is, like, you probably just did that to these boys, and it's over, the fact that he denied me. Now, if there's a fight breaking out, if there's weapons drawn, and I get you, I know what you're saying, King, like, we have to be objective. But I don't think that every opportunity to use your weapon is an opportunity to use that weapon. If that makes sense. Like, you got to find a better way, bro. You know what I mean? And I was with Kevo when he said that, like, there's got to be a better way. Like, it's 3 of y'all, 3-1. Like, do I want the buddy to get beat up and beaten to hell? No. But shit, I like my odds at 3-1. I think we can contain this dude with non-lethal force. And so that was my first thought, man. And I ain't even gonna break down the Kyle thing, because y'all had so many pieces. That was a great segment. Kyle is Kyle. There's too many rules, too many laws. I just don't think that he should have been there. That's the end of my story.
Yeah. And I think we all agree on that front. But King, I'll let you actually respond to that, because I agree with a lot of what he said. But I know you got some points to make.
Yeah. And I don't want to combat that, because I really want to highlight, and I guess we kind of take it a little bit further, because me and Kevo, we go back, 7-8 years. Like, we've had these talks. So I really want to kind of push Kevo to his limits, as he's going to push me to my limits, to kind of see the other perspective, and for the benefit of the audience, so they can kind of see both sides. And I think the biggest thing with these type of conversations is, I want it to be full spectrum. Absolutely. I think that it's very essential that we don't forget about the human aspect of it, because I can look at it from, like you said, the stats part of it. I can break down the law, the letter of the law, but at the same time, we're human beings, and these real life actions have consequences. And like you were saying, we might not see all of them. We might say, yeah, he got shot, but he lived. But then what else? What's going to happen to him for the rest of his life? What's going to happen to his kids? I think one of them, it was their birthday. They're always going to remember this moment, and you put them out there on a national scale. It's very, very essential to remember that these are people and they have real life consequences. And that's why I appreciate you two's argument, because you highlight more of the human aspect of it, because we see real time the effects that it has on our community. We, by and large, suffer from PTSD from things like that. Just seeing a black man get shot on TV, it just hits a little different when they look like you. So that being shown to us on a time and time again basis, that has real life effects on us. And with that being said, it's also, I think, beneficial to our community to look at the letter of the law, to understand how we can use that to our advantage. So when we highlight people like a Kyle Rittenhouse, this is somebody who could potentially get away with murder. It is very important for us to see how it is that he manipulated, or how it is that he used the law to do that, so that we can employ those same strategies in our communities to protect the things that we care about, so that we don't have people coming into our community. We know our rights and we know what we can do. And we know by the letter of the law, we can use this type of force. So I really appreciate both of you's opinion, because it kind of helps bridge that gap of what I think would be the most beneficial solution to our community. And I think that's the whole purpose of having these conversations.
Yeah, I appreciate that take. I really feel like it's almost as if you're putting on a pair of sunglasses, the way you have to look at these type of situations. So in one of the ways you can look at it is the way I tend to look at it is basically like an emotional, personal level. Like, I see a man getting shot. I don't appreciate that. The context don't matter to me sometimes. I see that end result, and I'm just like, I can't go for that. Like I might look at what happened before at a later date, but at that time when I first see it, I'm an emotional like response to it. Right. I gotta have the ability to take those sunglasses off and put on another pair of sunglasses and say, these are my legal sunglasses. I need to look at this from a legal perspective and say, was this justified? Was it not? How should we react to this? How do we get this man in prison? Is this man supposed to be in prison? It's a lot of different questions when you put on those legal glasses. That's all the context. When you just looking at it from that emotional perspective, sometimes you get wrapped up in things that, unfortunately, you don't want to see the hard truth of the matter, right? So we don't want to see the part that he was a criminal or anything like that. It might not matter in some cases. In this case, it might have. I don't know, but that's where you got to put on those other sunglasses, have those conversations with your people, and then talk about it, right? And then just discover what is the other side of the argument. Why was the cop thinking in this manner? Was it right? Was it wrong? Then you can actually make a good judgment on that situation.
I like that, man. Let me tie one more piece from your last pod. So you had this portion when you were talking about LeBron James King, and you were saying, sometimes he's the voice of our people, and we have to be careful because his rhetoric could be, something that could go, array, and he's speaking for everybody. So, but how I took that though, when he said, we're afraid, like I look at it as a black father. I got 2 sons and a daughter, right? And I got to be real, man. Like, this shit ain't fair. It's not fair that I got to have this conversation with my 15-year-old son that's black that a white person doesn't have to have with their 15-year-old son. That shit ain't fair, bro. And so where I'm going with the LeBron James thing is like, I feel like we're afraid or we're scared is because like this shit is normalized. Like I made a post that what would it look like if it was consistently black cop killing white teenager, white male? Do you think that should fly in our country? But this shit is normalized, right? So the fear part becomes is like, each and every day, shit, this could be me. This could be mine, and like after you've seen that movie too many times, the fucking ending. What's it going to look like. And so as a father, man, like, yes, LeBron doesn't speak for me 100%, but I give him credit. Like Kevo said, he's using his platform. So I'll give him that. But at home, it's not fucking fair that I have to talk to my son this way. But at the same time, if I don't, I feel like I'm neglecting my son. I'm neglecting him because I'm not preparing him for what's real. And that's what the other side often, I don't want to make this about color, but that's what the other side doesn't want to hear, and they don't really understand. And I don't want to throw generalized names, but Bobby, When Bobby's dad is talking to him, have a good day, kid. When I'm with my son, whose name is his real name is DeMichael, he's named after his father. He's my stepkid, but we call him Ace. I have to let him know, like, bro, like all of your friends, you're in a very diverse crowd, but I'm telling you this, they look at you differently, like real shit. If all 5 of y'all get in some shit, it's 3 white boys, him and a Mexican kid, the 2 kids of color, you tend to be the reason, right? Though that's not fair, though that might not be true, you tend to be the reason. We had an episode here in our neighborhood. Some vandalization happened over there on the basketball court, and they got cameras, and they brought all the boys over there. And guess who were the boys that got interviewed? Real shit. All the parents got notified, but only certain boys got interviewed. I seen the tape of what my kid did, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, why the fuck am I here? He didn't do shit. And they were like, oh, well, he was around these group of boys. I was like, well, I'm thinking in my head, you don't see the white boys in the tape too? Ain't no fucking white parents here. Fuck we talking about? Like real shit. And I'm sitting here and I'm fucking furious. And my wife had to talk me off the ledge. I'm like, what are we talking about? Like, because yeah, we are the minority in this community, but shit, I pay good money for my house just like they pay good money for their house. What do you say? I'm the king around here off of fucking off of Friday. He's like, shit, I pay good money for my house. So what I'm getting at is, if it's fair, it's fair. So if everybody, you got a video of 10 boys, bring all 10 families, all representation. So it's small shit like that kind of brings it back to light. I'm like, bro, this shit ain't fair, but we have to do our jobs as Black fathers. You know what I'm saying? If we don't, we're failing our Black sons, you know? So that's kind of how I link those two together. But you're right, man. We have got to take every case after we have that initial moment and break it down. And King, you do that. And like, and you always preface some things like, you know, you want to be Uncle Tom, and it's not, fuck all that, man. Like, that sounds different. Right? Like, we know when somebody is like out in left field and just doing crazy shit. We need voices like that because there's a lot of angry people out there who will just follow it. Like, if I break a bottle, you breaking a bottle. I smash a window, you smash a window. And that's when the shit that's when it goes all the way left. And before you know it, BLM only equals, you know, rioters and shit like that. We know that's not true. Right. That's just the shit, man. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Are you?
Yeah, knock that out.
Hey, man, who am I?
Yeah. Right.
Who am I? I'm on y'all show. Who am I? I ain't nobody. I'm just here, baby. I'm just a voice.
I do want to move on a little bit into music, if that's okay with you, King. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No, by all means.
But I'm super interested in talking to him about music. So I know you come from a little bit of a different generation that we came up in. So it's interesting. Right. So it's interesting to kind of ask you, like, what is your views on hip hop in today's, like in 2020? Like, who you listen to? Do you like the newer artists? Are you still kind of listening to some of the older dudes? Is our big three, the Drakes, the Kendricks, and the Cole, are they as good as the last big three? You know, how do you feel? I know it's a loaded question, but let's start there.
So it was tough for a minute, bro, because I don't know, man. Like, after I say shit, when I was probably like 25, I was lost. And like I said, I listened to Wayne and all that when he was younger. And, you know, I remember him when he was just a hot boy, right? And then he started doing his own single thing. And I was fucking with the Wayne train. Then he went left for me, man. And for a minute, you know, it was only about, you know, doing sexual shit to women, his drugs and whatever else. And I was like, that ain't it. And then when I discovered Kendrick, you know, like Section 80, I believe. I think that's what it was. That's what my boy put me on. And then I started trying to dig up some underground shit in him. I was like, okay, I'm fucking with him. And Cole was about the same time. So when you say who's carrying the torch for me right now, it was them two. You know, like early teens, it was them two. And then I was listening to Drake, but he got a little poppy shit to him. You know, but I fuck with Drake, you know, but my wife loved him more, so I gotta like him a lot. You get what I'm saying? So that type of thing. But he ain't my top ear. So for me, I had to really start digging, man. And so when I digged, like when I started really digging, like Royce da 5'9" came out of that. So Royce has been my artist since about 2008 to now. Like that's been my number one, followed by Kendrick, you know, but I listen to everybody though, like Fab, you know, shit, I can go on, or like Griselda. They're newer, not new. Everybody think they're new, but they're newer. Definitely listen to everything they putting out. But cause they got that Detroit connection, you know, they got that whole thing going on. So, yeah, man, I'm really right now, like, you know, it's a Big Sean just dropped, and I've never been a Big Sean. Like, I've messed with some of his mixtapes. The first Detroit, that was the shit. Was that like 2012, something like that? If I'm 7, I don't know. Shit, I don't know. But I messed with that. Yeah, it was a minute ago. But like this one, man, like his features are crazy. Like everything on the album, I've ran it through like 3 times, man. I can't stop fucking with it. That one with Dom, that's like really my joint. So I kind of like indie guys too, like Dom. You know, a lot of people know about Dom Kennedy. I listen to him. I listen to Nipsey, of course. You know, so I'm kind of versed. I try to stay with the times, but these new boys, I don't know.
Nah,
like little somebody, I ain't fucking Lil Durk shit.
Nah,
that type of shit, man. But
all right.
I listened to y'all to help me, man, because I didn't know Bodie had put out his own shit, and I usually don't miss that. And like you said, Pray for Paris, like his joint, that was my favorite track on the whole joint. So I was like, yeah, I got to go get that. So when got that, and then I ended up running that a couple times. So I'm really, rocking that right now. So anything like that I can listen to, but like I think the Detroit has a whole movement, like Sada Baby, Cash Kid, all these other. So I got this other group that I'm the old head in, and they all listening to that shit. I can't keep up. That Sada dude, bro, like he like hard. Yeah. I can't keep up. Did you hear him on the Friday Night Freestyle? The one on Big John? I was like, bro, come on. Like I can't keep up.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I can't keep up, man. So, but yeah, like I know who's the Wayne guy. Is that you?
Me.
Yeah, you the
100%.
So I remember. Oh man, that was an old pod. Y'all was talking about like a hit mixtape series.
Mm-hmm.
And you had No Ceilings out there, or No Drought, or the Drought, and something else you listed. And I was like, for me during that time, it was like Joe Budden, like mood music. Oh man, like I can listen to all those like nonstop. And so Joe was another one of my guys because everybody remembers him for Pump It Up, and he's way more of an artist than that. Unfortunately, just like Slaughterhouse, they had too many issues. They never took off. But all 4 of those bars. So. Those are my guys too, man. I was really pulling for their team, but they kind of fell off. So Royce the only one that really kind of stuck and had a real like individual career. So that's kind of how.
I can actually see the time frame you actually would have fallen off Wayne himself. But for me, I guess the only difference between us two is that I grew up and from middle school to high school was that time he was in that kind of 8 to 10 year span where he was just dominating stuff. Yeah. So that was right around the time where I really started listening to hip hop for real. And he was the one at that time. So I just never left that moment of time. Like I'm not leaving. Like I know he's not there still. I know he's still not dominating on that level. But if you come across crazy talk about Wayne, then I still gotta come at you verbally.
Black Planet, like
I still got that. I'm still in that time. It's still 2010 to 2015 to me. It's still that time for me. So that's where I'm at.
I can't remember the exact line, but he had a killer, man, when he was like something about I won rings with my performance. I'm more of Kobe Bryant than I'm more of a Kobe Bryant of an artist. Some shit. That shit was retarded, bro. Like so. Don't get. Yeah, you're right. Like, he was super nice. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna shit on him, but yeah, he lost me with all that. I don't know, man. The drugs will do something to you, bro.
Yeah. Like, he seemed a lot cleaner now. I'm interested to listen to him again.
Okay, so he's about to drop another one, right? I know he.
I think he looking. He posted No Ceilings 3.
Okay.
Not sure how that'll go, but he posted on his Instagram saying that that's coming. So
I'm gonna give him a fair shot. I always do. I always give everybody I listen to a fair shot. I don't just cut nobody out. So I'll let y'all know. I'll let y'all know.
King, I got another question, but I don't want to take over if you had one.
Talk to him, bro. Talk to him.
So R&B though.
Okay.
R&B to us, at least these last like 2 to 3 years, have been dominating. There's so many good artists. There's so many new ones. There's so many good albums. Who right now in 2020 are you listening to as far as R&B wise?
So, all right. So recently, I just got to give, I guess love to the ladies like Tiana Taylor. Like I listened to her heavy. I was on Black. So male. Now going back to male. I was on Black. And it's really tough, man, because my wife, like, I'll hear something with her and I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on here? And then it'll kind of like get me going. But honestly, like Tiana, she's had a whole different style about her, a little flavor. So that's why I was rocking with her. And then like for me, my personal, I would say since about early 10 to now, The Weeknd, I guess. Like I think he kind of falls into that. So that's probably my number one, The Weeknd. And then every now and then, like I said, somebody will jump in there. But I can't really tell you, other than The Weeknd or Tiana Taylor, I ain't really broke down nobody's like whole discography in the last R&B. I just ain't. So again, I listen to y'all, man. Y'all tell me, where to go, and
I got a number of a handful of people to throw at you.
Where to go, man?
Yeah, I got a handful of people after this to throw at you, though. Yep.
Yeah, for real shit.
Now, I want to be respectful of your time. I don't want to take too much of it. I appreciate you for joining on the podcast. But for everybody out there, Memoirs from Within, lights kind of crazy. Got it up here. Do you want to tell everybody where they can get this? Just a brief, sell the book or whatever. Talk about your podcast just for our audience. They want to go follow you, hear what you got to say.
All right, man. Well, so the book is on Amazon and all. So it's paperback, digital, and now it's audio. That was the recent ad. And so you can find it on Amazon. And if you do audio books, so you can find it on. What is that shit? Now I'm messing up the whole segment. My bad. I got that through Kindle. It's on Kindle and it's on Apple. And it's on one more. So I went through ACX. If you ever heard of ACX, that's a audio exchange type thing. People bid for your book and they read it. And then from there, it kind of kicks it out. It distributes for you. So it's on, like I said, Kindle and Apple for sure. And then when it comes to the podcast, it's on all platforms now. So for a while, I was kind of limiting myself. I was only on SoundCloud and Apple. But my boy King told me about Anchor, right? And I didn't think that Anchor would work for me because you said y'all do like phone call based type. And I was like, well, we ain't really trying to do it that way because I got this equipment, this and that. I just had to research. Come to find out, everything I need to do, I can do right through Anchor. So Anchor distributes, and I'm on, Spotify, Apple, Google, you name it. We're there. So that's been a blessing this season. And the show itself, CEO and the Doctor, that's the name of the podcast. We've been doing it now 3 years. So we're pushing episode 60. Each year we try to bring something different. So for the last 2 seasons, our main topic has been TPD, or thought-provoking dialogue. And basically what that was anything that was hot, right? Anything that was hot, let's talk about it. But we kind of grown and we switched a little bit. We said, let's conversations we should be having, because we wanted to focus on, the community, the culture, are we growing each other? That's something that's big that I think that we overlook. Like, we could talk a lot of shit about this, that, and the other, or we can always highlight, what's going on with somebody else's life, but are we actually growing each other? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know how your finances are so that you can help me, and vice versa. More so than saying, damn, Rick Ross a millionaire or a billionaire. He pushing, that's cool. That's dope as shit, but he ain't in my circle. You know what I mean? Rick ain't in my circle. And I hope that he's growing his circle, it's an evolution type thing, but on our levels, I feel like our pods, they talk, man. They're distant cousins almost so, we got to learn to use our platform in every way, man. And so you guys are doing great I'm hoping you're connecting and reaching, a good group of people. I'm trying to connect and grow a group of people over here. And I hope that other independent podcasts are doing the same, because I feel like that's what we got to focus on. Everybody got the goal of being on Revolt, hoping to get picked up like Joe Budden or some shit like that on Spotify or some shit like that. But that might not be our path. Our path might be, we might never make $1, but somebody listens and they changes their life, man. And so when you start taking all the value out of everything and just focus on what your purpose is, I think you'll have a better, focus, and that's kind of where I am, man. Like, each one teach one. That's all I care about.
When Drake say wise words, decent man.
I just got one thing with Kevo, man, because I can't help it. I see it every week, but now I see it like that damn Ohio State flag, bro.
Come on, man.
I'm a Wolverine, cuz.
Come on, man.
I got the Indy hat on from Indy, but we ain't really got football in Indy for college.
Oh,
can't even go to that school. So
see, now we gotta scrap the whole show. You know what I mean? Like, now I can't even have you on.
Are you from Ohio?
No. I'm from Nebraska, but I'm a big Ohio.
Oh shit! So you got the Cornhuskers? You Tommy Brady? We ain't gonna go.
It's a long story. It's a long story. Just know that when you see greatness, you gotta go gravitate towards greatness. I know y'all ain't beat us in about 10 years, so you might know what a win look like. So
I'm still playing catch up though. Y'all still got equal the series, but I feel it. Man, I appreciate y'all having me, bro.
We appreciate you.
I can't wait to have y'all. So hopefully I could do it the same way, or I bring everybody on, or like I said, I got a soundboard, man, and that shit is amazing, bro. So if that's the only thing that's changed in my podcast. Once you actually move from using the computer as your main hub, I have so much more freedom now. So it felt really good to not have to operate shit. Like, I still got to operate shit, but
might be the move.
chilling.
Yeah,
So,
that might be the move.
yeah, man, like a Rodecaster Pro, we can talk offline about it, man. But it'll do wonders for whoever's operated, bro. Real shit.
Yeah, and we invite you to come back on soon too.
Hey, you let me know, man. Yeah, I'm always here, man. I love this shit, man. And I'm definitely gonna have you on. It's interview season is starting right now, so I'm just kind of doing my notes, seeing what topics I want people to be on, man. So y'all be hearing from me, us.
Sure.
Appreciate you.
All right, man. Well, y'all boys have a happy Sunday, man.
Appreciate
All right,
you,
man.
brother.
We holla at you.
Yep.
It's the Who Am I Pod.
Everybody, appreciate y'all tuning in. Go ahead, follow CO, listen to the podcast, CO and the Doctor. Go check out that book, Memoirs from Within. This is the Who Am I Podcast. We appreciate y'all for listening.
Peace.
Who am I? The girls them sugar.